This episode is sponsored by Squarespace.
Huh? Really? How did it get in there in the first place? How did you get it out? Oh. To be honest with you, like, when I asked you how your day's been, this isn't kind of what I meant. This is just like, you know, did you have a nice breakfast? Or like, oh, hello, everyone. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 84. Oh, I've written it down there. So it's been a while, haven't made a video in a little while, but I have been working on things, other projects that do revolve around this channel and the Gutterlands and things like that. And, you know, I haven't been lazy or enjoying myself or enjoying life in general. A little while ago, I made my first game, Bangarang in the Gutterlands, and well, I kind of felt like making another game, and that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm doing that now. See ya. And most people, if they fancy playing a skirmish game, they go and just pick up one of the many skirmish games that are out there that are, you know, really good. You know, I mean, particularly some of my favourites is Mini Gangs, Stargrave, things like that. You know, but me, you know, if I need a greebly, I will make a greebly. If I need a miniature, I will try and sculpt a miniature or kit bash a miniature. If I need a bit of terrain, I won't print it, I'll make it myself. If I need some bread, I'll go buy it from the shop. I do want a bread maker. But if I want to play a skirmish game, I'm just going to make one myself. I don't know why. I've got a problem. That's what I've been doing. And skirmish game books require lots of art. And I've been doing lots of drawing recently. And my patrons know because I've been sharing it with them. I mean, I've been drawing a lot. There's like just picture after picture after picture. Yeah, lots of pictures. And it's kind of prevented me from making videos because, you know, I can only devote myself to one thing at a time. But I'm doing one today. I'm sorry, I forgot you were there. Sorry. My wife came in, saw me drawing. She said, have you made a video yet? She's like my boss. She's like, have you made any videos? I'm like, no, I'm drawing for the rule book. And she's like, why don't you just film yourself drawing for the rule book and then make a video of that? And then I said, be quiet, get back in that kitchen and make me a sandwich. She said, what's a sandwich? It's what abusive husbands say to their wives when they want a sandwich. And then she said, you're not an abusive husband. I said, I know, I'm trying. And then at the end of that, I said it was a joke. And obviously she didn't believe me. So then I thought about that and I thought, you know, I could do my illustrations, the normal kind of illustrations I do, which are kind of like scratchy and they take forever, you know, like a lot of cross-hatching and shading and all that stuff. It takes a long time. And I thought, I'll figure out some other way of making like a nice, effective picture that's kind of quick and accessible for you lot, you know. Something that can be done pretty quickly and looks quite nice. And that's it. That's what the episode's going to be. This is like an Art Attack episode. Art Attack was a big inspiration for this channel. Just call me Bazza. Don't call me Bazza. Don't ever call me Bazza. So we're going to need some paper. Paper's kind of like an iPad, only it's kind of flexible and made from trees. You only get to use it once, but it's really thick watercolor paper, which is what you need, and we're just going to coat the whole thing in water. Yeah, this is like a trick I only learned recently, like when you're watercoloring stuff, you should probably make the whole piece of paper wet first so it all kind of blends and bleeds. You know, that's how you get that cool watercolor effect. These are the watercolors I'm using, Winsor Newton. I'm not sure if these are good or not. I don't know, I just used them. But we're only going to make a weird kind of colourful background, you know. Just chuck it on there. Chuck it all on there and pick whatever colour you want. Just start blending it, mixing it. I don't really know what I want for a background. I just want anything other than white. mean, obviously you can pick colours you want to use. You could do like nice gradients like orange to yellow or blue to purple, you know, whatever you want. I'm just going a bit crazy here and having a bit of fun because I don't really have any kind of objective in mind. I'm just going to make a big colourful mess of a background. If you really want to make like a rain scene, you can always run the paint down like that, you know, if you really wanted to. I don't want to, but I just did that to show you. Now, this is a bit of just toilet roll. You can just use this to dab away some of the excess, and it kind of makes like a cloud effect if you want clouds. But I ruined that cloud effect by flicking more paint on there. But look, that's the background. Let's make another one, because it is pretty fun, I'm going to be honest. So I'm going to do 2 backgrounds because I'm thinking I might paint 2 pictures in this this episode, because, you know, one picture I'll show you how I did it. The second one I'll try and do it as quick as I can and see how effective it is, you know, follow my own techniques. That looks like a nice little sort of sunset. Oh, I've ruined it. Now, looking back at the edit as I narrate this video, I'm looking at that and thinking that's quite a nice little sunset scene. I've kind of inadvertently shown you how to paint a little sunset scene with watercolours. That wasn't my intention, but there you go. That's how you paint a watercolour scene with watercolours. Obviously, I'm going to cover it more paint and ruin it, but that's not the point. The point is, you know, I did that by accident. Actually, no, I did that on purpose. I know what I'm doing. I'm an expert watercolourist. Now, these pieces of paper do warp with the water, so you're going to want to flatten them for a little bit. So I've just got this big, giant coffee table book. Look at that. I mean, I don't know where else to put it, really. It's so big. So this video is sponsored by Squarespace. Now, Squarespace is a website where you go to make websites. Now, if you have no idea how to make a website, you don't know how to do with a HTML, is it HTML? I'm not sure. And you just want to make a website about things like, you know, like a pickle website, for example. Like, yeah, like that. Like Pickle Perfection. That's it, Bill. Click there. If you just want to make a website that's quick and easy and clean and nicely designed, then go to Squarespace. I made this website in, like, you know, it must have been like 0.5 seconds, maybe a little bit longer, I'm not sure, but it was really easy and it looks pretty good, and I will add stuff to it at some point. But yeah, if you want to make your own website, there's a sale going on at Squarespace. There's a little link down below. Go and have a look. So about 20 minutes or so later, they're nice and flat and dry and ready. We've got 2 backgrounds. I think I'm going to use this one first. Let's start drawing. I figured I would tell you what I have in my pencil case, considering this is an illustration episode. So first up is this Uni Pin fine line pen. It's permanent pigment ink, so it doesn't run with water, and it's kind of like a brush pen, so you can thicken the line. This is another Uniball Air thing. I think this is permanent as well, but it's hard to explain what the nib is. It's kind of just goes into a point like that, and it's pretty solid. I use it for outlining. This is a Blackwing pencil. These are the best pencils in the world, apparently, and I've only just figured this out, but you can take this eraser out and kind of extend it like that. I thought I'd just show that to you. I don't know why. This is another pigment liner. This is a thinner one than the one earlier, and it's not a brush pen. This is just a fine liner, which is I use for fine details, you know, fine lines. This is an eraser, or a rubber as we call it. My most recent addition to the pencil case are these Copic grey tone markers. They're good if you just quickly want to shade something and make like a little grayscale picture. They're pretty good. This is a Jelly Roll white pen. It's not very good, actually. It kind of, you use it to make little white lines over dark pigments, but it doesn't really work that well. This is a cool little ruler I got in a Christmas cracker, which we do in England. At Christmas we pour a cracker and you get a little prize. Do you do that in America? I don't know. I'm not sure if that's a thing. This is a watercolor pen. Now, I use these a lot, and a lot of people ask me, where do you get them from? How do they work? Basically, you just unscrew the end here and fill it up with water, and water just kind of comes through the brush nib at the end. So it's like a never-ending supply of water until it runs out. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to draw. I have a few ideas in mind. There are certain images I need for the rulebook. I've started writing the rulebook already, and I know there's going to be images that I need. And one of them is a scrap beast bursting out of a pile of junk and attacking a guy. So that's my little guy. Now, this sketch is really light and you can barely see it. It doesn't really matter. This is basically the first stage. I'm going to have to draw this again. Just blocking out shapes, really. It doesn't have to be precise. I just want to kind of know the scale of the thing. So now we've got that, I need to colour the whole thing in black. I'm going to use this Sharpie marker just for the fine details. You know, one of the hardest things to draw is like a pile of junk. It's really hard to draw. I can't do it. I don't know what it is. There's got to be some sort of trick to drawing piles of junk, but you know, that will have to do. Now, as you can see, I'm going to leave the eyes clean. I'm not going to colour in the eyes or the mouth yet. I will colour in the mouth later. Now, I don't know if you remember, but I made a scrap beast a long time ago, and I think it's about time for me to remake the scrap beast, because I think I made it too big. I need some smaller ones for the game, so that may be a video coming up. But, you know, if you can't be bothered to paint the whole thing in a, you know, permanent marker, then just use some Indian ink black, which is like a water-resistant ink. Once it's dry, it doesn't really come off, and it's pretty good. It's got really good coverage. So the whole bottom half of this image is going to be black, which kind of makes it a bit pointless for me to draw that guy, but I needed the position of his head. You can kind of just see his head there, and I will redraw him. It helps me kind of structure the image. Once that's all painted black, I like to paint a little black border all around the edge. I think borders are really effective on watercolors and paintings. Like, they really make a difference, you know, not like in real life. Borders are So I'm going to just flick some of the ink all over the place, because I like little bits of grit going everywhere. I like my images to look a bit grungy. Plus, you know, this thing's bursting out of the ground. I want it to look like debris is going everywhere. Now that's dried. It didn't take that long to dry. It takes about half hour to dry, and I just have to redraw the whole image again. Now, this may seem a little bit tedious, and it is a little bit tedious, but it doesn't have to be perfect, because we're not going to see any of these lines. This is basically just another guide for us to colour on top of. You know, it also gives me another opportunity to redraw this guy, because I wasn't really too happy with his pose before. I'm just looking on the bright side. You know me, always looking on the bright side. So you may be wondering, what does a scrap beast have to do with a skirmish game set in the Gutterlands? Well, like the skirmish game that I'm making does have scrap beasts that will randomly appear when you loot certain junk piles. You know, there's like an ammo system in the game, and you need to loot things to get more ammo. Because ammo is pretty scarce in the Gutterlands, I thought I'd include that in the game. So you will see a scrap beast if you're very unlucky in the game. And I think that's about it. That's enough of a guide for me to go on. Now it's time to colour the thing in. Now, I'm not going to use paint. You can use acrylic paint. I'm going to use acrylic paint pens, because it's just a bit easier and quicker. Now, these Posca pens are the best of the best. I love these pens, and they're quite expensive, I'm going to be honest. You can spend a bit of money and get these, but there's so many other paint pens out there. Acrylic paint pens, you can find all sorts. I mean, I got these for like a couple of quid. These are, what are they? These are acrylic paint marker marks, and basically they're acrylic paint pens. They work the same. So this is a colour wheel. You would have heard of a colour wheel in art class, or, you know, if you're painting miniatures, or if you're going to paint your bathroom. Basically, any colour on the colour wheel complements the colour opposite. So green complements red, and orange complements whatever, you know, blue. But I'm going to use this triad, which is like a combination of three colours. So I'm going to use, well, let's have a look. So red would complement blue and yellow and red. They all kind of complement each other. Which is what that little triangle thing is in the middle. Now I think I'm going to go for like a purple, a green and an orange for this image. I'm going for a bit of a Lucio Fulci kind of colour palette, you know, like really complementing colours pointing in three directions, like a 3-point lighting system. What you would see in most Tarantino films, things like that, you know, like anything that kind of looks bold and striking a visual. You've got your fill light, you've got your key light, you've got your backlight. Now, I know we're not using lights, but we're going to be using colours, so I'm going to use my purple in the bottom right there, orange top right, and green coming from the left. If you kind of try and keep that in mind as you colour the thing in, so the purple is going to be hitting the back of the guy, the front of the scrap beast, you know what I mean. Leave a lot of black in there, because the black's like a really cool bit of contrast. You know, you don't want to waste that. And then you just basically colour the thing in. You know, it's actually quite hard to narrate over an illustration, because there's, you know, I'm basically just colouring things in. Look. I mean, it's kind of fun. It's fun to do at the time, but I really don't have anything to say about it. Like, I'm just colouring in. But this is the most tedious part. It's basically just filling up all those little black spaces with a bit of colour. Remembering to keep black on one side, like the light is coming from direction. But now this is when it starts to get fun. I'm going to use an orange pen to kind of represent one of our lights coming in from the top right. This is, imagine a sun glimmering off the top of this guy's helmet, off the top of his backpack and things like that. Now this line, you want it to be a lot thinner. You kind of want it to be like an edge highlight. You just want to do the edges of the lines and any objects that are kind of protruding from the bodies, and just remember where the light is coming from. I tend to get carried away a lot, and I kind of do too much orange in places, or I might go over, I might go into where there would be shadow, but that doesn't matter. You can kind of fix that later. But this is where it starts to get fun. I actually really like doing these bits. It starts to bring the image together, starts to make it look a bit more three-dimensional. You know what, I think there's not a lot for me to say about highlighting. I'm just going to show you it, and I can talk a little bit about the game. Now the game is called Skirm in the Gutterlands. It's Skirm as in skirmish. Now it's a very kind of short and fast-paced skirmish game. It's like you will die pretty easy, but you will kill pretty easy. I want the game to be one of those games you could pick up and you could get done in 20 minutes, and then it's short, but you can just play it again and again. I don't want a game that you can sit there for 2 hours and play. Basically, I just want a really fast kind of punishing skirmish game with really accessible, simple rules. And the game has a resource system where every shot costs a piece of ammo or several pieces of ammo, and in the Gutterlands there's not a lot of ammo, so you need to kind of go and salvage from dead bodies or scrap piles to get more ammo if you want to shoot guns, or you can just go and bash them over the head. It's really up to you. Back to the picture. I mean, that looks quite nice already, I think. Like you can see where the contrasting colours work, the purple and the orange. Now we're going to use green coming in from this direction, but like an underlighting, like something green glowing on the ground. You don't really have to justify your light sources. I mean, it's a bit abstract and a bit pop art kind of thing at the end of the day. It's not really representative of real life. It's just a vibrant, colourful picture. That's kind of what I'm doing. So the green's going to come and hit from below, just like that. And now this is a thin line as well. You don't want too much. You might want this thinner than the orange line. Now I used to look at a lot of old sci-fi novel covers, and I used to do this technique all the time. I used to use like complementary colours to make a really striking image, so you see it on the shelf and you actually look at the picture and it's not that good. Kind of like this, it's not a very good image, but it looks better than a line drawing, and it's not hard to do, which is the whole point of this video. Now I know I said it before, but I'm going to say it again. Drawing junk piles is really hard. I really need, if anyone out there has some sort of technique for drawing piles of junk or trash, or just a pile of anything, even piles of rocks, like mountains, I find them really hard to draw. I think it's because they need to be more random. But there we go. There's the green line. I think that looks quite nice. Now we're going to add in a bit of black here. We're going to colour in the mouth. I don't know why I didn't do it earlier. I guess I wanted to colour those teeth in. Now I think I'm going to add more shadow behind these legs on the right side of the scrap beast, because I kind of want that heel to kind of carry on up. I thought it might make the image look a little bit more balanced. Now we've used our three main colours. Now it's, now you can have fun. I'm going to use yellow on the eyes to make them look like they're glowing. I might even add a little bit of yellow on the rest of the image, just the very kind of highest points facing up, like the little sharp points, just a little glimmer of light here and there. You can add as many colours as you want. I've just gone with 3 because it's the kind of quickest and simplest way to get this effect. But a little bit of yellow here and there kind of looks pretty nice. I mean, that looks all right, doesn't it? That looks quite nice. This is fun. I love adding little highlights here and there, just adding little glimmers like it's reflective material. I think, the little tips of the teeth kind of works really well. But you do what you want. You take these techniques and you do whatever you want, and just make sure you share it with me on Instagram, because I want to see if anyone uses these techniques. That's kind of the whole point. I'm trying to show you how I do it, and I want to see you use the same techniques. Now this junk pile kind of, I didn't really want it to be a complete silhouette. I want there to be a tiny bit of light on the front part of this junk pile, just in front of the scrap beast, to make it look like he's peeking over or he's bursting out of it. Not too much, just a little bit. And yeah, I think that will just about do it. No, I was wrong. I want to add a little bit of white in the center of these eyes, just to make them look like they glow a little bit. White paint pens don't really go that well on top of other paint pens. You'd think they would, but they don't. But you know, just a couple of layers, like painting miniatures, basically. If you could paint miniatures, you can paint a picture like this. Now, the black lines around the image have kind of been lost with the paint pens, so you just want to go around and add a little thick black line around everything. Now you may think, what's the point? Trust me, this makes a big difference to the image. I mean, anytime I draw anything to make something stand out, just put a thicker black line around it. I mean, it really does make the bits stand out, you know, just cleaning up a little bit with a black pen, just go around the edges, especially against the background, just do a nice big thick black line. It really separates items from its background and foreground. And there we go. This took me a couple of hours, you know, including filming, and I think it looks pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. I think the colour choices were good, but let's do another one. This is the part of the video where I ask you to like and subscribe and share and click that little bell notification. And if you enjoy these videos, join Patreon. I ask every episode because, you know, it's the only way this channel survives. But I thought, you know, I can't just keep asking people to join Patreon. I need to give them something back. So what I've done, I illustrated this rather nice map of the Gutterlands. You know, here's Respite, there's other places. That's a mountain. And I thought, you know, I want to give some of these to my patrons. I got 50 of these professionally printed. I'm going to sign them and number them. And there's only 50 in existence. So if you really want one, the only way to get one is to join Patreon. Now, you have to be in the top tier or the second from top tier. Obviously, I'll prioritize the top tier, but there's not that many in the top tier. So if you join the second tier, you probably get one. All you have to do is send me your address and I'll pay for the postage. I'll send it out to you. There you go, got your picture. I'll sign it, all that stuff. And you can always cancel Patreon after you get it. I mean, if you really want this, that's really, it's up to you. Join Patreon. Get a nice print of a made up world that I made up in my head because I was bored. Link down below. Message me, tell me your address. I'll come round and give them to you personally. I won't do that. I won't do that. Never leave. So my wife was a wealth of knowledge during this video. I mean, she is an art teacher, by the way. She said, have you ever tried bleach painting? Now this is bleach. This is baby bottle bleach, so it's not as harmful as most bleaches. And I'm going to fill this watercolor pen up with it. But before I do, I want to put a little bit of tape around the edge so I don't just lick the end, you know. You don't want to lick bleach. Now this has nothing to do with the final image I'm going to do. This is just basically me experimenting. This is Waterman ink. This is just ink you fill up fountain pens with. It doesn't work with Indian ink, I found out, because I did try a lot of this. Well, I tried for a long time to try and get this effect, and it just did not work with Indian ink, apparently because it's water resistant. But look, I mean, a bit of bleach. Ooh. Yeah, I just thought it'd be interesting to show you this. I didn't hear of this technique. It might be really cool to use for like explosions and muzzle flashes and things like that. So I'm just having a bit of fun. A bit of a bonus bill, because I haven't done a bonus bill in a while. And I do have the tile plate, so I figured I might as well use it. You can even drip it down from the top like that and create like a weird creepy forest. But, you know, this isn't completely irrelevant. I did make the illustration title using this effect. I thought, you know, it has some really cool bleed effect, and, you know, and I can do this little thing at the end, and it kind of, well, it ended up a bit like, well, this. Well, that was nice. Back to the original video idea. I'm going to basically take the techniques I talked about earlier, and I'm going to try and apply it here and make a really quick image. yeah, so I'm not really going to tell you what I'm doing because I've already told you what I'm doing, and I'll probably just talk about the game a little bit more. So I've already explained it's called Skirm short for skirmish. The reasoning in my head was that, you know, it's a short skirmish game. A lot of skirmish games you play, like you have to get a friend over and it takes like an hour, 2 hours, and it's, you know, it's a skirmish game. It's supposed to be quick. I kind of just really want a quick skirmish game that you can play a lot of. If you enjoy it, you can just keep playing it. You don't have to, you know, invest 2 hours each time. The other big draw for me creating my own skirmish game was to set it in the Gutterlands. I wanted to include a lot of the characters I made in the Gutterlands, like the Rusters, the Deep Troops, the colonists, which are basically the humans. And there is a fourth faction that I've never really talked about on this channel. I haven't really made anything for yet. They're in the game. They're called the Big Red Mining Company. They're basically space dwarves. Now, I was obsessed with squats as a kid. I loved space dwarves. I don't know why they stopped them. Well, I know why they stopped them. They just shouldn't have, because who doesn't like a space dwarf? They're basically a faction of dwarf prospectors. They look for treasure and old tech, and obviously the Gutterlands is full of old tech, so they've found out about it and they've come down and have tried to kind of monopolise on the thing. The game is in its kind of bare basic form at the moment. I just want to get the mechanics right, but as it develops, and I want it to develop, I want to add more, you know, I want to add Meat Mountain in there, you know, meat fiends and horrible things like that. I want to add the plant and all its little robot rust husks and all sorts of weird monsters and maybe even titans, who knows, I don't know. I've got so much stuff set in the Gutterlands. I kind of want a game that I can kind of display them in, you know, and people can use them to fight each other. Now, one of my favourite things about independent war games or skirmish games are the books. I love the books. I love looking through the artwork. You know, I've got the art book by Noor, I think I'm pronouncing it right, the guy who made Mork Borg. Now, I'm never going to play that game just because, you know, I don't think I'm ever going to play it, but I will pick that book up and I will look at it, you know, almost daily. That is my intention. I want to create a really nice rule book, because that's all it's going to be. It's going to be a rule book to start off with a lot of kit bashing and terrain building that you'll have to do yourself, which is, you know, in my opinion, the funnest part. You know, miniature agnostic, terrain agnostic, make whatever you want. You know, it's a creative game. But I want that book to be as interesting as possible, which is why I've just been going crazy doing all the art, which is, you know, essentially why I'm making this video. Now, lore is a big part of the Gutterlands. I like creating lore, and I think this book could be a good device to kind of get across a lot more lore that you've never heard. You know, I do have lots of lore kind of written down in little notepads here and there. I just don't, unless I make a build regarding that lore in a video, I don't really have a way of telling you about it. So I'm thinking, you know, this book would just be full of extra lore if you're into that sort of thing, and the game's gonna be fun. That's what I'm thinking. This sounds like a pitch now. It sounds like I'm pitching this game. This game's getting made whether you want me to make it or not, basically. So, back to the picture. There we go. That's another picture. This really did only take like an hour to do. It's not as good as the scrap piece picture, but I think it looks pretty good. That muzzle flash is a bit big, but who doesn't like a big muzzle flash? What do you think? I think it looks alright. So here we go. I did a couple of drawings. This one took me an hour. This one took me a little bit longer because it's a bit more detailed and I took my time. But, you know, using the same thing, yeah, they're pretty similar. I know they're kind of bizarre. They're kind of a bit more pop-arty and a bit more, you know, a bit retro sci-fi look, which is good. That's kind of what I want. And it's, you know, it doesn't take long to do it all. I'd like to know if any of you lot attempt to make one yourself. Tag me on Instagram if you do, at billmakingstuff, and I'll have a look and I'll give you my critical feedback. You know, once these pictures are actually done, I don't need them anymore. I scan them in and I use them in the book, and I don't need the originals. So I'm thinking I'm going to chuck them on eBay. If you'd like to buy an original painting by me, if you'd like to own, well, I don't know, that for some reason, stick it on your wall in your dining room when you have a nice big family dinner. I'll put the links down below. They're going to be on eBay as soon as this video finishes. I really don't care what they go for, but I don't want them. Obviously, next episode I'm going to be building stuff again, but just let me know if you'd like one of these once in a while. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Glamour shots coming up in a second. Bye. See ya. Yeah, so it went in. Yeah, you told me how it went in, but how did you get it out? So here we are, the glamour shots for a few still images that I did. I'm not really sure how to do glamour shots for still images, but here we go. Do you like the technique? Was this video a waste of time? Would you like to see more videos like this? You know, I'm not the best illustrator in the world, I know that, but I consider myself more of a concept artist. I have an idea in my head. I want that concept to be passed on to you so you have a slight idea of what I'm talking about. That's really what a concept artist is. I'm going to show more of the images I've done using this technique here. If you really want any of these images, go on the eBay link down below and bid on it. You know, honestly, they just take up space. I don't want them here. Once I've scanned them, they're in the book, and that may be a selling point for you. Maybe you want a piece of original art that's in this new game book that you may or may not purchase in the future. Also, if you want one of my maps of the Gutterlands, one of 50, then join Patreon. Top 2 tiers. Obviously, all the patrons that are already in my top 2 tiers will get a copy of it. They just need to send me their address, and I'll send it out to you free of charge. Because you know what, I just love you so much. I do. I mean, sincerely, I just really